Good to go? All right, cool. All right, welcome to Bridge City Connections, everyone. First event of 2025. I'm super excited. Yeah, please clap it up. Please clap it up. Because I'm very excited for the future of Bridge City. Last year we created a foundation with Bridge City Connections to provide a platform monthly for everyone to come network, learn, get resources, and really just to create a vibe, create a collaboration between the young professionals and entrepreneurs. So thank you for all showing up still. Again, please clap it up one more time, please, please, please. We got two incredible entrepreneurs, two incredible people that are driven. These guys are successful in their fields. We got Nelson Cooper here. He's the VP of corporate banking at PNC downtown. He also has, yeah, please clap it up. Please clap it up. Please clap it up. He also has a nonprofit, the Pittsburgh Hardball Academy, that he's doing. He'll talk about a little bit about that as well for you guys. And we got my guy Kenny Sickles. We actually from the same hometown. Kenny, he also is an educator, but he also is doing all-out dance competition and convention, which is literally national now. So please clap it up for Kenny as well. These these guys are incredible, it's an honor to be beside you. I'm also an entrepreneur myself. I have a moving cleaning company that I've been doing for 5, 6 years now, but been in the industry for over a decade. Right? I look young, but I'm very vetted in this industry. Trust me. Um, Guys, we're gonna get right into it because I don't want to waste any time. When you come to Bridge City, it's straight into the goods. Like, how can we help? How can we learn more? Right? So, starting with you, Nelson, just want to get into your background. Tell me a little bit about the PNC corporate, what got you there. Yeah, what got
Yeah,
you?
so I'm Nelson, Nelson Cooper the fourth. There are 15 Nelson Coopers in my family, actually. So my brothers, so that's my fun fact to put out there at the beginning. But from Seattle, Washington originally, so born and raised in Seattle, single parent household was me and my mom. My mom she actually played high school baseball. And so baseball was always kind of part of my life. Played baseball in college at North Carolina Central University in Durham, North Carolina, HBCU. Played there 2012 to 2015. While I was there playing, realized pretty quickly that no one would ever pay me to do that, so I should probably find a job. So did
A lot of us
intern,
relate with that.
yeah, right. So did a internship with PNC here in Pittsburgh in the summer of 2015. Then came back and started full time in February of 2016. So I've been at PNC ever since, working there. So coming up on 9 years now. Done different things. So I started out in finance and accounting, did the development program there. Moved into underwriting a couple years later, did some underwriting for professional sports teams, for financial institutions, did that for 3 or 4 years. And then I've been in my current role as a relationship manager in our corporate banking group for a little over 3 years now. So we work with companies that are in Western Pennsylvania that are $50 million in annual revenue and above. And any banking service that they need, anything, financing ideas, treasury services, whatever it is, I'm the person that some of those companies would go to in the market. So I have about 30, 35 clients around Western PA that I work with. And then some people would say that PNC is my side hustle. My passion is Pittsburgh Hardball Academy. So we do baseball and softball programming for what we use the term is underrepresented youth. Underrepresented meaning, firstly, blacks in baseball. Regardless of your financial background, there are not a lot of black kids that play baseball. And then secondly, being financial resources. So kids that may not have the means to play on travel teams, get to college through baseball, and then kids in the city of Pittsburgh. So our facility, which is the only indoor facility in the city of Pittsburgh, we opened in 2023, just down the street here at the Shady
Right
Side
around the
Boys and
corner,
Girls
guys.
Club.
Literally
Yeah.
right around the corner.
So that's we'll talk about that a little bit more, but that's kind of about me and what I do.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Kenny, tell the people a little bit about yourself. You're an educator, you're a teacher. Let's start with that and then go into the dance competition.
I gotta back that up. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So just a little bit about myself. I am a gym teacher at Washington High School. That's like my day job per se. People always ask me why I teach. I love the kids. Everything I do is for the kids. I also coach basketball. I teach dance, and my main thing is that I own all out dance competition. So a little bit of background. My mother was a dance teacher, so when my twin brother and I were born, we really didn't have a choice. We were at the studio anyway. We started when we were 2. I competed from 4 to 18 regionally, nationally. When I was 9, I danced in the Radio City Christmas Spectacular with the Rockettes. Yes, but that was definitely
Kenny was
like
killing it. I'm gonna be honest. Kenny was killing it. Like
so. I did some really cool things. I was blessed to meet like a lot of really cool people. I won some regional titles. Mr. Dance Pennsylvania was one of them. I got to travel nationally and meet hundreds of thousands of people, really thousands of people. And I learned at a very young age then how to network, and that was like the number one key thing for me was when I started this. You don't realize it, but you look back and you're like, wow, I know all these people from all these different places, and it all came back down to dance. So thank God for my mother for making us dance when we were younger. But yeah, that led me to kind of where I am right now with all dance competition. It's if you don't know anything about dance, think about an AAU tournament for basketball or travel baseball, but for dance studios. We have a Pittsburgh competition in March. We are at Ambridge High School. We have I think 18 studios in the area coming. It's completely sold out, which is always a good one. But that's a little bit about what a dance competition is, what my dance competition is.
it's crazier than basketball tournaments, by the way.
It is a little crazy. Way.
It's very crazy. But thank you for sharing that, guys. I want to go into really just dive right into the systems behind you guys building and really managing these two. You guys got two businesses that take a lot of time. We only have 24 hours, and I think a lot of people in here understand like how do we manage, how do we use that 24 hours to the maximum ability. Tell me, how do you manage those high inclines, 50 million and above, but also have the nonprofit on the side and manage the kids and teach the kids and have all that time also for yourself? You know what I mean? So give the people a little bit.
Yeah. So, interesting thing when I first started the role in corporate banking, I was 26, so much younger than most people who are relationship managers out meeting with clients. Most of my clients are CFOs, CEOs of companies who are very experienced and I think all of them are white actually, as I think about it. So when I first started, um, there was, I would say, I don't know if fear is the right word, but there's a little fear of like, I'm younger, I don't look like people in the market that do this job. Then I think the thing I thought about was PNC Bank is in the interest of their best interest is trying to make money, right? They're going to put someone out there that they're confident is going to help them grow their business, right? So that gave me confidence to go out there and do my job. With that, how do I handle those situations? Is just making sure that I understand and read the room, understand the rooms that I'm in, understanding, hey, you might be younger, you may not look like people, so you have to be extra prepared when you come to these meetings to show and prove your worth. Because you think about from their perspective, right? If you're the CFO of a company, you've been running this company longer than the person that's helping you's been alive, you would expect them to have a certain level of preparedness when they come in to meet with your company. They're not going to know everything. And that's something I'm pretty upfront about is like, hey, I don't know everything about the industry. I don't know everything about your company, but I'm going to try to work as hard as I can. I'm going to find the people who do know the answer. And that's something I learned pretty early on is you don't have to be the person that knows the answer. You have to be the person who knows the person with the answer, right? So it might be you, but it might be he has the answer and I know him, right? So that's one thing that really helps in my professional capacity. With Pittsburgh Hardball Academy, I'm a co-founder. Our other co-founder, Brian, has been doing this type of work for over 30 years in the community, and has been a great mentor. And now we started the organization in 2020, looking now, most people when they think of Hardball would think of me, but when we first started, it was kind of the other way around, and he intentionally kind of mentored and elevated me over the course of several years, kind of into that position. So how I manage doing both, I just kind of think of it's just my life. It's kind of intersected. I've kind of removed things that just don't have value necessarily to me. I don't own a television. I don't watch television ever. I like watching TV, but it's just like if you're trying to lose weight and then you have Oreos just stacked up in your room, that's obviously not going to work. So just kind of remove that from the situation. But yeah, I just kind of blend the two things together. I have a passion. I think about my job at PNC allows me to be able to do the thing I'm passionate about, which is helping youth achieve their dreams, help them get into college. So I have to be successful and give my all in that endeavor in order to be able to do the thing that I'm really passionate about. So that's kind of how I blend the two together.
Nice.
Man, this is going to
be-
be a constant thing.
Before Kenny goes, one thing that I want to say that Nelson said, guys, is that he necessarily wasn't the face of Pittsburgh Hardball in the beginning, right? There was a guy that he was able to attach to or learn from to get the knowledge in an accelerated process. Rather than him going out and starting Pittsburgh Hardball or another similar idea by itself, he was able to attach to someone who had 30 years in the industry. There's nothing better than that, right? We all want to build things from the ground up, but it's very important, especially if you don't have the knowledge, to work with good people. So keep that in mind. Kenny, let's get to you, man. Tell me about the systems behind everything.
I'm actually going to piggyback off what he said for a quick second, just
Okay.
because it's basically what you just said as well. So I actually, when I graduated high school, started working for a couple dance competitions. I competed with them. And they're like, "Oh, you're of age. You're like, why don't you come on the weekends?" I'm like, "This is fantastic. I'm going to get paid on the weekends. I'm going to learn a lot." And as I was doing that, I really enjoyed what I was doing, but I also saw a completely different side of it than what I did when I was competing. And year after year after year, I'm like, man, this is a lot. Set up, tear down. People were coming to me, and I wasn't even the owner of that competition. I was just working there. So I was like, man, I could probably do this and probably do it a little bit better. Knock on who I was working for at the time, but that's kind of how I learned. I learned from this woman for probably 6 years before I actually came up with the idea to start my own. So that was definitely a big. She was like a key factor in all out success so far. But to the question, my biggest one's time management. My favorite basketball player of all time is Kobe. And if you know anything about Kobe, my man was crazy. Would wake up at 3 a.m. and work out before anybody else. So I kind of mimic my life the same way. I wake up at 5. I'm at the gym at 5:30. I'm at the school, lifting at the school at 5:30. People don't even show up till 7:30. I'm done lifting, showered, and sending my business emails at 7 a.m. when school doesn't start till 8:30. So I'm always trying to. I don't have time, if I'm being completely honest. There's not enough time in the day. I'm up till 1, 2 a.m. sometimes, but it's really just sticking to the schedule, making yourself get up, making yourself do what you got to do, making sure you're sending the emails. So I'm at school from what? School starts 8 to about 3 every day, but something that he said again, I really like that he's super passionate about kids because that's what I do as well. But it's super easy between the two just because I'm super passionate about making a difference for the kids at school, but I'm even more passionate about making a difference on a way bigger scale for kids at all out. So my motivation at school is the same exact motivation for my business, just in a completely different mindset. So that transition super super simple for me. The biggest thing in all of it though is just the time management because there's literally not enough time in the day for anyone to do anything. But
Absolutely. And I'll piggyback off of that. I think that when it comes to everything that we do, guys, corporate, career, business, the daily life, how do you manage everything into 24 hours, right? For me, I think my personal advice is, you know, the way I live is a little different, right? Because I went straight into entrepreneurship outside, right after college, straight into business. So you have to manage your own time because no one's managing it for you. So it's almost as if, I say I live for a living. It's like life. It's not, getting up and make sure you're doing business calls. It's like a routine now. Taking clients and meeting with people with Bridge City and telling people about Bridge City, it's like tying my shoe now, right? It's not necessarily something I have to manage. It's more so just we're doing it, right? Like I'm tying my shoe today. That's what I would get into the mindset of. If you're doing something in the business or career aspect, to make sure you get it down and do it so much that it just becomes living. It's just like we're living, right?
If I can add something with time management, I think with that, like a practical thing to do is like you have to prioritize things you have to assign value to different things, right? Some things are going to take much longer, but they're high priorities. So you can go that, or vice versa. It may take much longer. So I'm going to push that down the priority list, knock off some other things first. I'll give you an example. We have with Hardball, there's a system that we're trying to, I use that word, system. There's a system that we're trying to put in called Gym Master, where we'll be able to just imagine like you have a LA Fitness membership or something of that nature. So all the kids will have key tag or they'll have some sort of QR code. So we can, every event that they go to, we can scan them in and we can get the data on the backside. So when we do grants and reporting, we can say, hey, in the month of January, we had X amount of kids who are engaged this many times per month. And it's just very good reporting. Definitely will be helpful. We don't have the time right now to do that because we have to get schedules out to families, right, for the summer, because they have to be able to understand how much vacation do they need to take. We need to understand, okay, if they can't go on vacation, which kids do we need to have, field trip or take on overnight on the field trips and things of that nature. And so obviously the bigger priority long term is getting the system up and running, but practically right now, like that would not lead to a lot of success for us because we'd have 100 plus families just kind of sitting waiting for us to give them schedule, which impacts their schedule. And so it's just like a domino effect. So the schedule thing took a week to do. This implementation of the system is going to take several weeks, but it's just shifting the priorities around just to make sure that you can have high value interactions with the people and the stakeholders that you have.
Nice. Kenny, do you do for your dance competitions? What type of systems do you guys to keep that automated, keep that flowing right? Because I know that's a lot. We're dealing with a lot of dancers, thousands of dancers in one weekend under one roof. How do you manage all that?
So for me, I always tell people when we're actually at the competition, that's the fun part. Everything is done well before.
Okay.
So competition season typically runs from February to July, and then in July, finally like kind of kick back. I give myself 1 week. I shut everything off. Like people can't talk to me for that week. But then we open our registration for the next season right away.
Okay.
So we launch in August, and then from August till January, the system part of it's nuts. So I have to find venues. I have to make sure people are coming, people are attending. Then once everyone's registered, it's okay. I have 525 entries in Pittsburgh that I have to fit in from Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. So schedules are super important. I luckily was able to give that to someone else to do and to take that off my chest. But everything's done well before, so that by the time we get to the competition, my team is basically my family. My twin brother runs our backstage. My dad works the merch table. We bring in people that I know are like-minded. People that I grew up dancing with or competed against. We hired them. They come. But my brother makes sure all the kids are checked in. I always say Saturday mornings are a party because you literally have kids from age 4 to 18. And in Pittsburgh, we have on Saturday morning, we probably have 800 kids throughout the day, throughout the morning. It's a lot. So if it wasn't for my team, if it wasn't for, we have girls that are there that just are in the dressing room, making sure everyone has what they need. My brother's checking in the dancers, making sure they're ready to go. We hire someone just as a runner. It's like, hey, I need you to do this, 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 and this, and they'll do whatever we need to do. So everything's done on the back end. So by the time that competition comes, it's like clockwork. I love that you said it's like, like tying your shoes, because those comps we're finally to a point where when we're there, we are. It's solid, but everything that I do personally throughout the year helps me get there.
Nice. That's really all I want to get into. I want to take questions, guys. I want to make sure that we're not just up here talking, because we have a bunch of stuff that we could talk about, but really let's get into what we can help you guys with. What type of questions you have for Kenny and Nelson that you may need help with, right? So whoever's first, raise your hands or yell out. I don't care what you do, but let's get into it. Tyler.
Known in the streets. But we be here all night by talking about what I gave. But my question mainly for Nelson, I love what you talked about when you said what you guys do for Hardball Academy is really getting the analytics as far as engagement and things of that nature. To equate that to any other nonprofit or any other organization, what would be a strategy? Because obviously different nonprofits have different goals and metrics that they're looking at. What would be a tip or advice or strategy? Obviously, not similar to what you do at Hardball, but to try to keep it to elevate the numbers or make sure you're getting that engagement for when you go for grants and stuff like that.
Yeah, so something that I've observed with nonprofits as someone who's working in the space as a passion. It's not my full-time job. I volunteer to do this, and it's something that I'm passionate about because it was my path. Like people helped me get to college through baseball. I'm trying to do the same thing for kids. I think that a misstep that some nonprofits have is they do go after the funding and they specifically design programs around funding. And I think that there's I could talk about this for a long time. It's probably not advantageous for me to get more funding, but it's the truth is there's people who make decisions who are thinking about what they think that people want, but they're not listening to what are the actual needs in the community, right? Do the kids really want to do urban gardening, right? Like, I'm picking on that, right? But do they want to do that, or is there a different need? Do they really want to play baseball, or is there a different need that they have? So I think baseball for us, and the way that we've got kids engaged, is there are kids who are interested in the game, but like, I love the baseball stuff. I want to win. I expect to win, but what we do with it is like, I don't know that the kids that participate in our program are interested in SAT prep. I don't know that they're interested in learning about careers in the trades. I don't know that they're interested in learning about careers in banking, but I do know that they like baseball. So if I then bring those things to them, and the way that we do it, we have a classroom at our baseball facility. We'll say, hey, practice is at 6:30. Everyone gets there at 6. We bring in a different speaker from different industries, something very similar to what we're doing now, right? And so if it's 3 of those kids say, I really like that, I think it's a win for our organization. And so we've been able to kind of start grassroots and then tell that story, which has led to us being able to get funding, which is different than sometimes we see like the priorities. Maybe nonprofits will chase, okay, it's really hot to do STEAM, but there are kids who want to do that, but do all of the kids want to do STEAM all of the time? Maybe not, right? So I think that the one thing, if you did have a nonprofit, it would be trying to find something that is making an impact. And if you are making an impact and you have credible results, I think the funding will come. On the other hand, like we always tell people, like, come to the facility, stop by whenever you want and ask a random kid what we do. Like, you don't want to hear from me, like ask them. And I don't know that everyone can do that because maybe they don't have the same level of engagement. So, yeah. Stay with the mission, because you could chase money as well and deviate from your mission and end up doing XYZ. And we've tried to stay in a pretty like narrow. We want to help kids, underrepresented kids, using baseball and softball, and do other. We call it the focus program, facilitating opportunities for college and universal success. And we've had a lot of successes through it. I mean, we've had kids that have gone through our program that are now adults that are coming back to coach the kids that are getting professional jobs, that are doing these different things. But as you can see, like, I think when we get in the room and I start talking, get passionate about it, it's hard not to give us money. I'm not asking for your money, but you get the point if you're in those conversations versus if you just have a very surface level, we do XYZ, and people can tell when people are phony. And so I think that's, if you have a passion for something in the community, finding other people who are like-minded that are passionate, but finding people who have the business knowledge and sense. The guy that I started Hardball with, Brian, ran a company. He's older than my mom, but ran a company, had the business acumen. I did not have that, but I had the passion for doing it. He has passion too, but it's different. If you're in your late 50s, you don't have the same energy that you would if you're 22, right? Yeah. So like pairing that, but then neither of us really have the ego of being, I want to be the person out there talking about it. It's like, we just want to help the kids and that'll speak for itself. So
nice. Any other questions?
Actually,
I have a question for you, by the way.
Right. So my first question is, both of you seem extremely dedicated in different ways, which is amazing, right? Just listening to you guys talk is very encouraging. A lot of folks here tonight are first generation entrepreneurs trying to navigate, what this thing entrepreneurship is. And if you could speak a little bit for each of you, how you kind of had to cut people out or tell people what your level of commitment could be to them. Just kind of talk about how those difficult conversations happen. And the second question, which is kind of unrelated to that, is both of you working with youth, right? How do you navigate working with parents? I have a lot of friends that coach in different capacities, and I know a lot of times that can be the bigger challenge. Working with the kids can be the fun part, right? But navigating the parents can be the challenge. So how do you
I'm gonna answer
Yeah,
that
Kenny got
second
that.
one first, just because I'm
Kenny
not
got
even
that.
exaggerating this. So I have a lot of friends, and the studio owners that come to my competition, I've become friends with a lot of them. And that is the absolute difference why I own a competition and not a dance studio. Because I own a competition, I have to deal with 18 dance directors. I don't have to talk to parents. That's literally the reason why I did, because no offense, these parents are a little wild these days. And it's so sad. If you don't know, dance is really expensive. So they're paying all this money for dance, and they all feel this sense of entitlement, right? Um, and for that reason, I get asked when I teach dance, I get asked all the time, why don't you have a studio? Parents. That's why I started the competition. Why the reason I wanted to start a competition and not a studio. But that is your second question, or yeah, your second question was easy to answer. First question. I've been extremely blessed in my life to be surrounded by very like-minded people, and I love everyone. I can get along with everyone. Jordan can tell you that. I get along with everybody. But if you don't have the same kind of vibe, same kind of motivation, um, any kind of negativity, I just I kind of separate myself. It just is what it is. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, good ones, it realize that. If you're hanging out with people that are down here, you're going to be down here. But if you got people that have really big goals and dreams and they're working for it, they're grinding for it, you want to be with them because you're grinding too. So that I've been very blessed that all my friends and family are very like-minded in that aspect.
Thanks. I'll go with the first one. Um, and I'll start with, I think the hard part, sometimes like when we have these different panels, like people just don't see the struggle that you have had. Like people see the successes that you go through, and pretty, I think this was probably what it's 2020, January 25. So as recent as like September of 23. So we did a major renovation at our facility. We definitely didn't have the money for it. And we are like, we're going to do it. We'll figure it out. And I remember like us having like 3 grand in our bank account and being like, what's going to happen? And ended up getting a grant. It all worked out. And we're in a great financial position now and had an amazing year in 2024. But like those things people really don't hear about or see a lot of times with like success stories, because people don't really talk about the struggle that they go through. It's a very real thing. But in terms of cutting people out, I think we've had a lot of different coaches, a lot of different people that have been helpful along the way. That there was a time where they were helpful, right? And they definitely are a part of our success story and our overall story. But that doesn't mean because they're helpful at one point that they will always be helpful. And there are times, unfortunately, you have to have the difficult conversation and cut people out of the equation. We've done that several different times. I won't talk a whole bunch about the story, but it's a difficult conversation to have. But I've always tried to acknowledge, hey, you were great, you helped us at this time, but we're just going different directions. Like I try to always keep like the mission in mind when we're working with our youth. And so that means like one kid is not a priority over all of the kids, is the way that I kind of think about it. Or one coach or one person is not a priority over the entire mission. And so if we start to, particularly in the sports lane, right, you can have a player who's significantly better than everyone. And if you start to cater your organization around that one player, what about everyone else, right? What about the other kids? And we're pretty, we've had a lot of successes. We had the first African American player drafted since 1991 out of high school from Western Pennsylvania. He's actually a Brownsville kid.
Cartley?
But
What's
yeah,
his name?
Derek
Cartley?
Harper, yeah. But at the same time, I think it's just as successful that we had another young man who went to Cal U, who had a full academic scholarship, who ended up not playing baseball, but he's starting a job at PNC in the development program this upcoming summer. So it's like sports are great, but it ends for everybody at some point. So if people don't see the mission or don't understand, unfortunately, just you got to drop the dead weight. I mean, that's the way it is. With parents, it's interesting. So we've evolved over time. Like when we first started, we needed kids as we were starting to get the organization off the ground. So I think we put up maybe a little bit more from parents, but we learned our lesson. Like we have a code of conduct that's pretty upfront. We're pretty upfront with parents. Like this is our expectations. We have a 20-page handbook of like student athlete conduct, what we're looking for, what our expectations are. we tell people up front, like if you're looking for a travel baseball organization, this is not the right thing. Like this is a mentoring program that does baseball and softball. With that, we just don't have a lot of parent issues because a lot of them, like travel baseball, to play at the level where we want our kids to play at, they'll spend $8,000 to $10,000 a year. Our organization, I mean, kids pay between nothing to $900 a year for everything. So they see it and they understand the value, so they don't give us too much of a hard time. And the ones that do get a refund, and that's pretty, like we've done that. It's no hard feelings. It's just like this is not a fit for everyone. And once you get comfortable and understand, like at first I used to try to please everyone and make sure like everyone was happy, but if I'm not happy running it, then what are we doing?
Yeah.
So
There's no hardball without
yeah,
without the
correct.
founders.
So I think that like that, getting to that point where you feel comfortable knowing like not everyone's going to like the decisions you make, and you're okay with that, is when I think you can really take off and have a lot of success.
And I'll piggyback off that. I think that's very important for all of us. Like you said back there, like Dave said, we're young professionals. A lot of people in here are beginners, trying to get started a business, maybe just growing a business. So it's hard to cut people off. It's hard to keep keep the same people around you always. We have the same friends for years, from high school to high school friends, down to college friends. How do we keep them? Do we keep them around or do we let them go? Just like these guys said, I'm here to say, let them go. Unapologetically, let people go. Because at the end of the day, we have one life. Why would you be attached to rotten fruit if they want to be rotten fruit? That's how I look at it. There's so many times where I had to leave group chats. They can attest. How many times did I leave that group chat? It's at least 3, 4 times where you have to leave group chats. You have to stop hanging out with this friend group. It's not that I don't love you. It's just that it's not right now, right? That's where we're at. I think a lot of us are at that position. So be unapologetically cutting people off, right?
Some people get there before other people do. Like just
exactly
that mindset. Like everybody gets to the same place eventually. Sometimes it just takes longer for other people to,
exactly.
That
And that's very important, Ronnie, because
yeah.
I think we may see our friend there making a little bit more money than us at the time, right? I have a lot of friends that are older than me. I'm 29. A lot of my friends are 33, 34. So they're in good corporate positions. I'm growing a business. It can be very difficult to be like, hey, I'm not at the position I'm at right now, and start feeling bad about it. But I learned very quickly, and I thank God I learned this, that you have to be where you're at. Be in the moment you're in. If you're beginning in a business, just looking for a job doesn't matter. These people are here to help.
Yeah, I think I've been lucky to, like I said, Brian, who's the co-founder of Hardball, having someone that I work with closely on a daily basis that has that experience, that has like the life experience, most importantly. One thing he always says to me, and I always think about this whenever I get disgruntled with people, he's like, which one of those people is paying your bills? Like, none of them.
Yeah.
And then it's like, so what are you worried about? Like, everyone has an opinion on what you could do. It's so much easier to opine on other people's lives than it is to look at yourself. So I try to like kind of keep that in the back of my head. Like if you're running your own race, you're doing your own thing. If you're putting in the effort that you're happy with, you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
This question for the both of you. So you spoke to some things being secondhand nature because dance was your background, baseball was your background. You speak to some of those things where that wasn't secondhand nature and you kind of had to learn it once you got to the more of the professional or organizational part of your different facets.
I don't so like in my role at PNC, like I'm a salesperson, like I'm supposed to go out, connect with people. I don't really feel comfortable doing that, to be honest. And like I'm not super extroverted. Like I'm just not. When I'm in a room or like something like this, I feel comfortable with, probably because of the complexion of the room. But generally, like when I first started working, like it wasn't a comfortable situation. Like I didn't know how to. I was pretty young. I just turned 21. So I didn't really know, and kind of had to just learn like the social norms. Like my mom didn't work in a corporate America job or anything. I didn't really know that many people who did that. So kind of learning and adjusting and kind of trial by error with some of the things. I think that's kind of like the overall story I would, or something I would give to everyone, is like, you have to make mistakes in order to learn. And the boss I have at work now like really emphasizes that. He's like, you have to go and pitch the deal and completely bomb it and lose in order to get the one that you really wanted. Like, you have to, not everything's going to be perfect. So getting comfortable like with that was something that was challenging, because like you go to school, you do well, like you just always feel like things are so successful, but like these people who are super like, they've tried different things, they've started different businesses, they've failed, and trial by error eventually make it. So that was one thing that was super uncomfortable for me, is just like going into corporate America, not knowing, like I was completely going from HBCU to a bank in Pittsburgh is a big change. So just going into that environment, not really knowing, but it all kind of ends up working itself out.
I think a lot of times, guys, we're sweaty, right? You get sweaty when you get nervous. You're stepping into a room, maybe a new deal, and you're like, my armpit's a little sweaty. His forehead starts sweating. It's getting comfortable in that, right? Make sure you bring your deodorant. Bring some napkins. And I'm saying this, it's a joke, but all of us felt that. All of us go through that. And I think it's just getting comfortable in feeling that over and over again until, like you said, until you make it out of that. Until it's secondhand nature. It's just a routine now. Yeah. Kenny, you want to add anything?
Yeah. So best advice that I got when I started was get comfortable being uncomfortable. Right? Like, and it sounds cliche, and I even laughed when I heard that, and they were so true. I hated rejection. Didn't matter what it was, right? Finding venues for these competitions are one of the hardest things you could ever do. You reach out to schools, convention centers, whatever the space may be, and you get no after no after no, and you're like, man, you just like shut down. And when we were starting, we actually started during COVID. We launched February of 2020. We ran two competitions, and then the world shut down. It's crazy. The fact that we were able to push through that, I can't tell you how many no's we got, but I'm not stopping. I'm not giving up. We just started this. So we were at a point where, you're reaching out to studios trying to get them. No, no, no. And now we're actually to a point where we have to turn studios away. Right. But it was, to me, trying to get over, hey, no isn't the end of the world. You just got to keep going. Got to use that as motivation and keep working. So it's funny because I say it all the time now, but I've gotten comfortable being real uncomfortable. And I tell anyone the same exact thing. Like, no is a door to a better yes, right? That's just the way to think about it, and just stay motivated.
Great answers. Great answers. Any other questions?
Yeah, I just want to ask. So you guys both like have really high functioning careers, businesses. Like, as a being in high demand as an entrepreneur, you ever had to like slow down or just like find ways to recharge? Because I feel like especially in the first year of business, young entrepreneurs, you can want to go like a million miles a minute, and then we can hit this like burnout phase. And I think that sometimes people struggle, and I know I have had to find like other outlets to just like rejuvenate, get energized again. One of the things I actually started doing was salsa dancing like over this past year, and just finding little things, and what you're sharing about with like getting rid of the TV, weeding out, little things like that. Like, I've had to do that as well, to get some productivity back. But I'd love to hear if you guys have any like anything you had to go through to like recharge throughout your journey.
My wife would like to tell everyone that I don't have an off button. I'll get an email at 11 o'clock, and I feel like I have to respond to that email at 11 o'clock. She tells me all the time, like, shut off. So between school, there was a point in time where I was going to school, coaching basketball, teaching dance, ran the business, and I actually went and got my master's. So it was ridiculous. And at that time, my wife she just kept hounding me. She was like, you got to stop. Like, you have to figure out how to stop. I started going to the movies. I started going to the movies, turning my phone on silent, and it gave me 2-3 hours sometime just to kind of decompress. And I use that as an outlet because it's a different world, right? And that's how I look at it. So my outlet, I go to the gym every day. I love that. That's my other outlet. But I really enjoy, I try to go 2 or 3 times a week if I can, time permits, to just go and shut off. and that's what I do. So my movies and the gym are mine.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I really shut off so much. I mean, it depends on how you I don't know, maybe. But I would say that I didn't feel any burnout. I don't feel burned out. And we hadn't taken a break really at all from programming for like 5 years, all of through 24 until like the end of 24. We took 3 weeks off, which was the first time we had done that with Hardball. But I say that to say like it's the organizational management part of it is difficult, of course, but like the actual ability to coach and work with the kids is like super rewarding. So it kind of like that is the outlet that I have. It's like I have created my own outlet for some of the stress and things of that nature. Like I enjoy throwing batting practice, I enjoy hitting ground balls, and I try to find light like in the situations. I try to not take it too seriously. Like someone very early on in my career at PNC said, like, we're not saving lives. Like, they'll be okay. And I kind of keep that in the back of my head all the time. Like when I'm working, like I'm going to do the best I can. As long as I truly believe that I have tried the best I can, I'm good. Like we'll be okay. But yeah, so my outlet is actually is doing the coaching part of that. And I get to do that on a pretty consistent basis still. So yeah, it's if you find something that you're really, really passionate about, I don't think that you will get burnt out from the mission of it. Yeah, of course you get burned out from the, doing the accounting or doing, some of the operational tasks that we have to do, but being able to execute within the passion, like for me, it's coaching the kids is something that that keeps me going.
I really just want to piggyback off this, and I know that he'll understand what I'm saying. When your kids win a game, or let's say you have a kid that hasn't hit the ball real well, but he cracks a homer, you how you feel.
Yeah.
At the end of these competitions, not that I'm trying to put this out there, but All Out Dance Comps to Instagram, you could go check it out. But if you look and you just see their kids' faces, right? Whether they win or not, like you just see how much fun they're having, that definitely creates that fire that makes you keep going because you're making a difference. And I know for a fact you get that too. So
Yeah. Awesome. I'm gonna piggyback off what he said. It's that passion, right? We all want to work in our passion. Not all of us are blessed yet to be able to do that. But I think that it's it's easier to go full force, fast, and just literally head in the work when you love what you're doing. You danced your entire life. You started a dance competition. You play baseball your entire life. You attached to a baseball convention. I love business. I love tech. I love helping people. I get that from my mom. What do I start? A support and success hub for entrepreneurs like me. So at the end of the day, guys, align yourself. When you align yourself with something that you love to do and create a business around that, it's not work. It's not, you won't have to take as much time off because, like I said, it's like tying your shoe. Getting here today, Brit City, is like tying my shoe now. We've had 13 consecutive events, guys. It's like tying our shoe. So yeah, that's all I want to say with that. Let's go to the next question. We'll take like two more and then we'll be done. Yep, Nick. Or be fit standing first. We'll get you last, Nick. Got you. I'll make sure.
How you doing? I'm Barry. I teach boxing and therapy along with fitness and everything else. So I do have my physical location. I know how that feels, right?
Yeah.
Management. I teach 4 classes a day, but I am trying to incorporate like a youth program and also maybe nonprofit and other businesses as well. I want to have a crew class dedicated to all those entities as well. I was trying to see like what were some of the force fields that you guys kind of had to break down in the beginning when you guys started when it came to like kids or nonprofit or anything like that. That can kind of help out with that. Like I'm getting kind of like roadblocks here and there, right? Because I'll call up like, hey, you guys interested in taking a group class? And not so much. We eat donuts.
Good question.
Yeah, so we had a pretty significant roadblock at the beginning of when we started the organization. Like so Brian and I started working together in 2018, and we had doing community baseball work, and we are working with a professional team in Pittsburgh. And we saw that their vision for community baseball was not aligned to our vision of community baseball. Their vision was, how can this lead to more fans and ticket holders for us? I don't care about their fans and ticket holders. I want to help the kids. So we pitched the idea of what Hardball is to them. They were not interested. So we started our own organization. And we said we're going to control our own destiny. And we have still kind of operated. They don't really operate in this space anymore, but we've operated for a few years with, you know, the obvious question when you go to funders, did the major league team in your city support you? And our answer is no, they don't. And we explain, our mission and things of that nature. So that was a huge roadblock. It's not a roadblock anymore. I think pretty much if you go on our website, pretty much every other corporation in the city does. But that was very disheartening, to say the very least. Like, it was very difficult to try to play in a space around baseball, but the baseball team in the area is not a supporter. So it was a roadblock. The way that we kind of worked around it is we knew we had, a mission that we were confident in. We had people that were supporting us. But when we set up the organization from an organizational structure standpoint, like, I never wanted someone to point at, like, well, these guys, their books aren't in line, or their governance isn't in line and stuff like that. Like, we hired lawyers, we hired accounting firms, like, to make sure, like, there's nothing from a structural standpoint that someone could point to that says these guys don't have it together. So if you were to start a nonprofit, or someone's trying to start a business, like, I know you can go online and get an LLC and stuff like that, but I would turn to experts. And even if you have to invest more up front in order to get that in line, like, having the financials piece and the organizational management piece in line is super helpful when trying to grow. Like, making sure just like the basic blocking and tackling is done was something that we did that helped us kind of go around when someone ever asked, well, let me see your bylaws. Like, you guys are starting, what are your bylaws? We have our bylaws, and it was done by XYZ, law firm and things of that nature. So that's how we kind of started going around roadblocks, like being super passionate about our mission, kind of not taking no for an answer, and finding people who would say yes, and then making sure, well, on our end, if someone questioned us, like, we had our stuff together.
Nice.
I definitely think you should start something for the youth. I always say that. It's always the best thing you could do. Again, I'm a gym teacher at Wash High, and a lot of those kids, I mean, I don't know where your gym is. I'm pretty sure it's probably pretty far for them, but a lot of those kids don't have like the best home lives, and they all love boxing. Like, they're like obsessed. They'll shadow box each other all the time. They'll do, it's crazy. I have to break some stuff up sometimes, but I think something like that, especially in the city of Pittsburgh, I think it would be unreal. I think you could really do a lot. But it would start with like a mission, right? Like he said, as long as your mission is super straightforward and people understand it, then they're going to want to come. And then on the flip side of that, you own a gym. When you have, you're doing stuff for the youth, people see that, and a lot of people will like that. So in turn, your business, your gym will grow and grow and grow. I always say, if you really care about the kids and put them first, no matter what, everything else figures itself out, and you'll grow tremendously just in that. So I definitely say start the youth program. Do it.
If you can articulate, like, what is the benefit for the kids in the long run? Like, I think that's the biggest particular funding. Like, they don't care if it's boxing, or I picked on urban gardening before, boxing, urban gardening, baseball, whatever. But if you could say, they come to my gym, and because of this, X will happen. Like, they won't be fighting in the school. They'll be able to control their aggression, like the mental health stuff that you did last year. Being able to show like the value around that, I think, really is what is able to get those things off the ground. Like, what is the end result? What are they getting out of it from participating? That's great.
Good answer. Nick?
So my name is Nick Livingston. So my question is, being successful, getting to where you guys are, at the end of the day, when you're about to go to sleep, everything is still there. So trying to turn it off to actually sleep and actually have a comfortable sleep, is there any recommendations on, having restful sleep? Like you said, you make it 4 or 5 hours some nights, but if you get 5 hours of restful sleep or 5 hours of just constantly waking up because you're thinking what the next thing is going to be.
That's a good answer. That's a good question.
Again, my wife would tell you I probably don't sleep great. It honestly depends on the day. So like our first comp starts next weekend, 7th through the 9th. So I've been like super anxious. I actually started going to therapy, if I'm being completely honest, just to have someone to talk to. I think that, mental health is super important. And if you talk about it, then it helps. And it has helped me a lot. I have slept much better, to be honest. But I love NBA basketball, love college basketball. So before bed, first off, I always pray and get in my Bible a little bit. That helps me decompress. But then I'll put a game on, and it kind of just relaxes me. So just kind of finding something that clears you, get that Zen mode, and do your best. My wife helps too. She's a blessing. But
Yeah, the mental health thing is great. I do the same. I started doing therapy as well. Just it's always good to have someone to talk to and understand things. Yeah, I watch YouTube like before I go to either watch something funny, watch music videos, something of that nature. I like older music, but I always try to think like it's gonna be fine. Like one thing that's very real to me I've seen this through the corporate world, and it's kind of changed my perspective on just on worrying. Was a company that I work with. It's $200-300 million company. The founder, owner, ran the company for 32, 33 years. Sudden heart attack, died, and a couple of days later, they're like, "Hey, we need to change account signers," and it's business as usual. Like he was never there. And so just like kind of that perspective of like this guy put his entire life into running this company, built it from the ground up, and 2 or 3 days later, they just changed the documentation to sign. They have new signers. There's a new president. Company's still going. They actually had a better year than they've ever had this past year. And it's kind of like it'll be okay. Like it'll be fine. The world will continue to go without you. Whatever you have tomorrow can be picked up tomorrow. It'll be fine. Is kind of the way that I think about that. Because I mean, there were people before us, there'll be people after us. So just do the best that you can. You'll be fine.
Good answers. Great answers. I think that's it for now, guys. There's a couple things I want to say before. Thank you all again for showing up to Bridge City. It's our first event of the year. Thank you guys for the panel. It's been a blessing. Kenny, thank you guys. Couple things. I want everyone here to be a member. You guys see the incredible thing we're doing with Bridge City Connections. This is only going to elevate 10x. It's the first year last year, first event this year. Guys, you see what we're doing. Like I said, Nelson Cooper, Kenny, incredible insights. Dave's Kitchen, where you at? Oh, he's right here. Dave's Kitchen, thank you for the food. I want to shout out to my mom. She's incredible for helping us in the front desk. Thank you. Maya, thank you so much. Incredible with all the help. Thank you so much. Aaron, very helpful. A lot of these people in here. We got Jazz back there helping share. Guys, Brittany, anybody that's been sharing, Khalil or Camille, so many people, guys. I'm so hyped right now. I'm slurring my words. But we got Art Like Us. Thank you for being here, guys. Look, I can't thank you enough. Like I said, I'm so excited to be here. It's January, the first event of the year, but I'm ready to take this thing to the absolute moon. We're building a new collaboration, new networking experience to where it's very collaborative, right? So while you're here, I know you guys have been networking a little bit, but see how you can help each other. Really help each other. We're not here just to talk and maybe, say, oh, I'm a realtor. No. How can we help Camille sell a new house? How can we help James sell a new house? How can we help each other make money? Collaborate. So with that being said, there's flyers out there. Check out the new merch. We got merch dropping with Maya. I'm gonna let her speak real quick. Please check out the merch. She wasn't expecting to talk, but please talk real quick and let the people know about the merch out there that we worked on.
I'm Maya. I'm 22 years old. I just graduated. I'm sorry, I'm sitting.
Come on.
I'm 22 years old. I just graduated this past May, and first of all, a little fun Bridge City. This has been like a wonderful outlet for me outside of my corporate job to just grow, expand, and do what I love. It's my passion paper. So graphic design, public relations, marketing, 360 design is the Dutch term. And check it out. I'm always open to feedback. It's the best way to work my wheel. So I appreciate it.
Check it out. Don't let her be modest. She's modest. She's very humble. My freaking killed the merch, guys. And we're doing a merch collaboration system to where if anybody in here, you own a business, you sell real estate, you may need merch for your brand, right? We have an entire system that me and Maya work very hard to collaborate on to make sure if you want a merch of your own with your logos on it, we can help you with that at a very affordable price, a system that is so seamless, it'll be smooth. It'll be like, it's not like anything else you've seen, guys. You can go to other merch companies, but this is very hands-off experience, and it's through Bridge City Connections. So with that being said, thank you, everyone. Again, thank you. Let's get to networking. What time is it?